You got to raise the camera up a little bit.
No, it's okay.
So when you get to Paresh's age and my age, where your forehead starts to grow, sometimes you forget some things, and I forgot to go to my graduation. So here I am, and I am very thankful that there's a group gathered here to listen to the speech that I prepared for the class I took with Paresh. I'm very thankful to Paresh for running that class for our group. It was really a lot of fun. My name is John Jablonski. I work at the big law firm, Bingham McCutcheon, where Paresh works, and have known him for many years, 5, 6 years. And we eat lunch together, as he mentioned, so almost every day we talk. So the topic of my discussion, there's a couple of themes. One of them is leadership. I want to talk about a particular style of leadership that is becoming more and more popular. And then I also want to tell a story about applying that form of leadership. And that story takes place back when I was in my college years, back in the early 80s, I'll admit. So that was the context of the story. And I, back in my college years, was the president of the student gay and lesbian organization. And we were having an event called Gay Awareness Week and had planned something called the Hug Someone Gay booth, which was a kind of a parody on the old kissing booth that you might see in a town fair in, say, the 50s, something like that. But, so go back to that time. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we go back to that time, let me talk a little bit about the leadership. It's called servant leadership. Now, traditional leadership that you might be familiar with is called command and control. And that's where there's a hierarchy of people, there's someone giving orders at the top, and there are people following orders all the way down. And so that's kind of a command and control. It works in certain hierarchical situations. But when you have a complex team, a very sharp team, like a team of developers, including a DBA, that kind of leadership can actually stifle their creativity. And so the kind of leadership that's important in that situation is servant leadership. That's where the leader does not issue orders and start assigning tasks. The leader looks for opportunities to remove impediments from the group so that the group can do their job most effectively and self-organize around that job. So, okay, so now, March 1985, University of Massachusetts at Amherst. I'm a senior. And we start seeing signs going up around campus during Gay Awareness Week saying, "Hang a homosexual in effigy." We were pretty upset. As a group, we got together to figure out what to do. And should we have a march of our own? Should we ignore this thing? Is it going to blow over? We really didn't know. I knew that there was something that I could do that would help the situation. And so that's the servant leadership part. The organizer of this anti-gay march had been kind of bragging about it around campus and had put up signs, and so people knew who he was. I found out who he was, I found out where he lived. He actually lived on the 22nd floor of one of those 22-story buildings southwest of campus. And if you're familiar with UMass, that's the place that gives UMass the name ZooMass. It is full of testosterone and party hard atmosphere. It's incredible. So I drove down there by myself, and I went to this guy's room. I took the elevator up to the 22nd floor, and I went to the room and found not him, his name was Richard, but I found a group of his friends They were all, it looked like the whole floor was gathered there, having kind of a rally or something. And I asked them a little bit about this march that they were planning, and so they gave me some information. They told me where it would start and like that. And then I introduced myself. I'm John Jablonski, I'm the president of the Gay Student Organization, and I'm very concerned about this rally that you're planning. The march, whatever. It was an interesting 45 minutes that followed that. That Richard did end up showing up. He showed up quite a bit later. But in the next 45 minutes, I had a conversation with the people in the room. I talked to them about what it was like to be a gay man on campus, what it was like to actually personally affected me, how it personally affected me that they were going to hang a homosexual in effigy and have a march across campus against my human rights. So this was an interesting conversation. I think, you know, people kind of came and went a little bit. I was very careful. I didn't take off my coat the whole time the conversation went on. I was standing by the door, trying not to be threatening, and, you know, but just teaching gently. Finally, Richard showed up. I was standing in his doorway, so he actually had to walk by me, and I introduced myself again. Hello, Richard. I'm John Jablonski, president of the Student Gay Organization, and I'd like to talk with you about this march you're planning. And something really interesting happened. We started to have this conversation. We probably had a mini version of the 45-minute conversation that I had with friends. And I expected a lot of pushback, but what I was surprised to find was that as I was making arguments, people in the room, other friends of his, would speak up and say, Richard, listen to him. He's got a good point. He's making an excellent, you know, argument here. So I had, in the 45 minutes prior, actually helped to kind of bring the crowd, you know, from a mob and turn them into, some of them into allies. And so that was very fortunate, actually. And I talked with Richard for a while. He seemed to be listening, but he decided that honor dictated that he would proceed with the march on the next day. I had asked him if he would please cancel it. He chose not to do that. So I left the room that day, went back to my room, not knowing what was going to unfold the next day. Now, the next day, Richard and exactly 2 of his friends marched from the Southwest Living Area by the Whitmore Administration Building over to the Student Union. And 150 gay men and lesbians got together and met that march at the administration building and escorted it, surrounded it, and led it to the Student Union building, where television cameras happened to be waiting. Someone had alerted the media, and Richard issued a sincere and heartfelt apology. So that's an example of finding a way to take leadership and to remove impediments that, you know, I mean, I knew that the group that I was leading was in good hands. There were people there that have more experience in leading demonstrations and marches than I did. And so I found a way that I could provide leadership for the group in a way that was kind of behind the scenes and ended up really helping. So that was me kind of finding my cause in life, and I urge you all to think about your cause in life and take action on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Anybody have questions for John?
Yeah, questions about gay life? My husband is sitting back there in the
Say hi.
in the audience. We've been married for 8 years now. I learned on the way over. He reminded me. And we were here, of course, 2 years ago at Paresh's graduation.
you have a question?
Yes.
How do you think things have changed around in the past few years?
Things?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. How is life? Is it more accepting?
Life in Massachusetts is much more accepting.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. The fact that Mint and I are able to be married
Yeah.
and actually now file federal taxes together actually is a huge difference. The changes that have gone on in the military have been big. So there's a totally different environment these days. And it's very surprising that it happened during my lifetime. I didn't expect it at all.
And I'll ask a follow-up. I mean, as we look at the institution of marriage, the man-woman marriage institution, many people are not thinking it's important. And yet, on the other side, when we come to gay lesbian, they value it so much, So, where is that people are living together more in the traditional things and, saying, hey, who wants to get married? And yet, marriage seems to be important. So, I would love to know from you why marriage is important and, what advice would you give to people who are not getting married in the man-woman relationship?
Yeah, I would say, marriage is a pretty important aspect of a relationship in lots of different ways. But one very important one is who is considered your family if you should go into the hospital. Before Mint and I were married, if I had gone into the hospital, my next of kin was officially maybe my sister or my mother. And Mint might not even be allowed into the room as considered not an immediate family member. And so there's a lot that comes with marriage. That property rights, for instance. Mint and I live together in Somerville. If I were to pass, he would be able to stay living in the home that we share together. Ownership would automatically pass to him. That would not have happened 8 years ago. So.
Thank you, John. That was absolutely mind-blowing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And now I'm going to have Arohi. She's got a big onus to fulfill. And
so I would just like to take the time to thank Paresh Uncle for teaching us everything. The skills we've learned for the past 16 weeks are skills that we're going to be using throughout our lives and will be very helpful in our future careers as well as now in school. I know it's great to see how much we have progressed throughout the past few months. For instance, I remember in the beginning how some of us were so shy to speak, and then now we can completely own the stage and be so much more comfortable. And also I see myself talking more in class. What makes him a very effective teacher, at least for the youth, is that he's really able to connect with the younger generation. For instance, I know he's the only uncle. No?
no, go ahead.
I'm going to say, for instance, he's the only uncle I know who has a Snapchat, which is just for my age. And yes, I do Snapchat him. And so, I just want to thank you for being such a great teacher, as well as such an amazing mentor, friend, as well as uncle in general, and someone we can really depend on. So thank you for that.
So thank you everyone for attending, and I hope you people understand where the journey has been. And I can actually call on names now. For example, the second class, where is Girish? Girish is here or? Oh, okay, come. Girish had 45 arms, and repetitions in a 2-minute speech. 45. And how did he do today? Right? Amazing. And the amount of research he has done in every single topic is unbelievable. Azan used to be so shy, he would put his hands in the pocket all the time before talking. And now he has gone all the way and he uses his hands to complement what he's talking, which is absolutely fantastic, Azan. Right? Tanvi was inspired because she attended one of my classes with her friend Ria, who is the graduate from the previous class. And she has been a natural too. And Arohi, oh my God, I cannot tell you enough for her. And the fact that she's actually on Snapchat with an old man is awesome. And someday she's actually going to catch up with me in technology. by way of WhatsApp, because that's one place where I still can't stalk her. That's okay. And I know that she's going to India in the summer vacation to volunteer for an NGO. So good luck for that too, right? So now what I would like to do is my unbelievable pleasure and honor in inviting Ranjini Saigal, my sister, friend, mentor, philosopher, everything. Come on, Ranjini, you can't be that shy, I know. So she has been the Woman of the Year 2012-2013. And she will actually give the certificates to the children. Okay, so as she calls on the names, I have and they are in no special order of preference. Okay, so these are, oh man, getting too old. So the first one is going to be John. So John, and along with the children, you also get a $10 Barnes and Noble card. So she will give it to you.
Wonderful, John, what a pleasure. Really.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, everybody.
And we'll have a group photo together. And then the next is Girish.
Fantastic, Girish. I need to learn from you how not to say and ah. How about we take a picture together? Do you think we should do that?
Okay.
Is that all right? I'm not as cool as your uncle, but I'm not too bad myself. I think I have a better looking sari than your uncle.
Oh, definitely. Looks wise, no comparison. By the way, do you know she also used to run, or I don't know if she still runs her dance school.
Of course I do.
And last year I invited her to even dance in Bingham for our Asia Pacific Heritage Month, but she broke her foot.
I know.
She was actually trying to kick me, but something got to. So the next student is Tanvi. Tanvi, come on, beta.
Ah, you are fabulous. Your speeches is fantastic. God bless you.
Let's come here a little bit.
Sure.
That's good. And then Arohi, beta, come on, let's go.
And we have our...
You know, I have it here.
Oh, you have it. Okay. Fantastic. Oh.
That's it. And last but not the least, Azan, come on.
Oh, of course. I get to take a picture with this handsome young man. How about that?
And Tanvi. And then Tanvi is going to give this bouquet to Ranjini for being here. You have no idea how much busy she is. I was tell you she's now director of Ekal Vidyalaya, right?
Yes.
And trust me, even to talk with me for 2 minutes,
Can I
she's
request
taking her
something?
time off.
Can
Yeah.
I really request something? Can you speak 2 minutes about Ekal Vidyalaya? I think
would
it is going
love-
to, it is a
Absolutely.
very inspiring
Absolutely.
story.
You
So
should.
Absolutely.
I think I definitely would love to.
My honor and pleasure. Thank you for that
Guys,
opportunity.
give a big hand.
I think it's just perfect to go on a segue from John here, who told all of us to find our passion, our cause. And that happened to me about 6 months ago. I mean, I've always been a donor for this NGO called Ekal Vidyalaya, but 6 months ago, my children got off my payroll, so I decided that I could use this time and opportunity to do something else. As we all know, education is very important to all of us. Every one of us Indians, people of Indian origin, or mostly in Massachusetts, what we pride ourselves is in our education. It's what opens our minds. But unfortunately, for about 100,000 villages in India, which are very rural and tribal, there really is no access to education at all. And the challenge there is that because these villages are so rural and remote, they are cut off from the world at large and nobody reaches them, and there is no real interaction with the world. They don't even know why they should get an education. There's no market for education, and their minds thus are really not open. And thus it is that 25 years ago, there was a professor at IIT Kanpur who decided that he wants to make a change. You know, IIT is all about bringing education, and if you look at India today, we came up because of this prestigious educational institution. But he realized that there is this lost human potential that is in these villages. And thus he went to these villages and came up with this model of a single teacher school. It's not easy when you have to go into a village where the culture is very different. These are tribal people, and they are always afraid of a foreigner. A foreigner might be somebody who came from 10 miles away because they have been used to being exploited. Of course, they were not empowered with education. They don't have education. They don't have an understanding of what is their rights and responsibilities. So 25 years ago, Dr. Rakesh Pokhli came up with a model of a single teacher school where he decided to hire some local youth from that area who understands that culture and bring that education to the school. The problem, if you bring a teacher from Massachusetts, they're not going to last in these very difficult environments that are there in those areas. And thus it is that they decided to choose a teacher locally and train them to become teachers in these areas. So we have a single teacher, and right now this model worked very well because they decided not to invest in an infrastructure, because in these villages people don't have houses. So there's no reason to build buildings, but rather invest in the training of a teacher and invest in the village itself. So we run these schools at the very low cost of $1 a day. So to think about this, I think, you said $10 for that Barnes & Noble card, was that?
Yeah.
That is 10 days of education in a village. I mean, to think about that, 1/3 of the month of education in that village is held in that Barnes & Noble card. And how many did you buy today, may I ask?
5.
5 of them. That's 50 days. Think about that, And so the model is so wonderful that it's been scalable and sustainable. We've been in existence for 25 years. We are now in 57,000 villages in India and in Nepal. And we also have reached out to currently we have about 1.6 million children enrolled in our schools, which is, I think, a phenomenal, I think it deserves applause. This is really amazing. And I have to say this, another thing is that 25% of our funds get raised in the United States. 75% is raised in India. People care about this so much that they work on it. One other very relevant thing, as I was listening today, one of the important things that we bring to our students is not just reading, writing, and math, even though within 3 years, our students are with us for 3 years, and they learn to do arithmetic, and reading, writing their own language, and they know their rights and responsibility, healthcare, financial literacy, so that they're not exploited. That's the whole thing. The idea is to empower them to become, to take the ability to become the change that they want to see. It's not what I want to see in the village. They should do what they want to see in the village. We should just empower them. So that's what we are doing. But beyond that, values is very important, and soft skills is very important. Our children, I was amazed. I took a trip just recently to villages from Assam to Tamil Nadu. Our children have been taught how to speak. I was amazed that in the villages, they could come up front, they could stand like this little Girish here, and I didn't understand the language always, I don't know Assamese, but the Tamil children, I could understand them and they could speak well. And I think that is just fantastic that they are emphasizing that. The other thing, the villagers, one of the things that, again, speaking about why you need to learn to communicate, just like John said, in the end, it's all about communication. All strife comes to an end because of communication. And one of the things that we do in the village every Sunday is to have what they call Gram Shiksha, which is teaching the villagers. What do we teach them? We teach them how to facilitate meetings, how to communicate with each other. And when I went to Andhra, they said that the happiest day in the village is that Sunday, because it's the time that they come together as a group and there's no strife. Now the village strife has gone down because they learned how to talk. And I was amazed, young teachers, we have 71% of our teachers are women. And young women, between the ages of 18 to 25, and because we find that those are the best kind of teachers that come about. And the way they introduced me, just like Paresh did, they just had that ability to talk. They conducted the meeting within an hour, it was over, and they had questions for me. And in fact, when I was talking to them, they asked me, so at the end of this, you've talked about great things you want to do for us. What is the first thing that you're going to attack? I was very impressed to see that. So it's a really phenomenal organization. As you can see, I have found my passion. I'm honored that I have this servant, leadership that I can do for this organization. We are, in fact, Anil, my husband right now, has cards here. On May 31st,
Foxborough, which is I think not too far from here, we have an Ekal awareness event. It's a free event. If you please, I would love to give you the cards. Please RSVP because it's a free event. We have great music. Musicians are coming from India. We're going to have a Bollywood night. We are going to have great food. The idea is to create awareness, and hopefully you will all come and support it. So I'm going to give you the cards. If you want to bring friends, please do just RSVP so that I can arrange for the food. So thank you for this opportunity. And children, as you think about it, I would like to tell you that, here you have this honor to sit on these seats in this beautiful Sharon town and talk. My children sit, I have 1.6 million children now. I delivered 2 children of my own, but I have 1.6 million children who just sit outside they bring their own sack to school because that's what they sit on. So they bring it from home and they sit on the floor and they do that. So go to ekal.org and you will see my children, and you will find really they are no less talented than any of my own biological children, but at the same time they are living in very interesting circumstances. A girl that young, I asked her, what do you do? How does your day go? She said, in the morning I get up at 5 o'clock, I broom my house, then I go get, I study a little bit, and then some of our schools actually work in conjunction with government schools as well. So I go there for some time, then I come home in the afternoon, I wash the dishes, and then I have to go and get water in the hand pump. I fill it in my buckets, and I said, how do you bring the thing? I carry it like this. I said, that's so cute. And then on Sundays, they are in the area that I went to, they were cotton farmers. So Sunday we have to go pick cotton out of the fields. That is their life. But they said they would love to come to school. School for them is not work, it's joy. It's where they learn to open their minds. So it was a very, very, when you go to schools in cities in India, they're like, oh my God, school, no one wants to go to school. Do you say that?
Yeah.
You all love school?
Yeah.
You do, of course. Your parents are here, you got to say that. But I'm going to say, but it is, I remember as a child, every time there was a school vacation, I'm sure snow days here, you give up. But anyway, so that is what it is about. They love the school, they love the values that they're learning. Our alumni told us that the work ethic, the values and communication skills that they learned at Ekal has come in handy wherever they have been. Whether they have continued to be farmers or they went on to other technical trades and things like that. So if you would like to support us, it's just $1 a day. $365 can transform a village each year. I was always a donor with them because I couldn't find another NGO where I could, with my monies, make such a large impact. So if you want to hear more, I'd be happy to tell you, but the cards are with you. So please take them and please come. Good food, lot of fun while you're making it. Thank you.
Thank you.